Have you considered converting the traditional IRA assets to a Roth IRA? Do you even know what I'm saying? Do I even know what I'm saying? Well, we're going to find out. There are many advantages about doing that. We've got private wealth advisor Will Rogers, and he explains it why. Take a look. All right, we are once again joined by private wealth advisor Will Rogers, talking this morning about converting traditional IRA assets into a Roth IRA. Now, if you don't know what those are, that's why we've got Will here. Before we get started about the transitioning, why don't we get a brief description of the two types?
Sure. The traditional IRA is what most folks are familiar with. You get a tax deduction for the money going in, but when it comes out, it's fully taxable, and traditional IRAs actually have required distributions that the IRS forces folks to take out. The Roth IRA, on the other hand, you don't get a tax break for the money going in, but it grows tax-free forever, and you're not required to take distributions from it at all. So you can just allow that money to grow.
And Will, who are the viewers that should consider a Roth conversion?
The folks that should consider converting to a Roth IRA are folks that will likely have higher tax liabilities in the future. Now, this could be because their IRA is growing so much. You know, right now we're at some market lows. It could be that in the future they're going to have those required distributions or Social Security coming in. It could be that you're married and you might be going to a single tax bracket. Most folks don't think of this, but usually there's a surviving spouse. So planning ahead so that your surviving spouse doesn't have all of these. And quite simply, we're looking at higher tax brackets starting in 2026 because our current tax code is scheduled to sunset. So most everybody's looking at higher taxes in just a few years.
Okay, and taking that into consideration, what are some key factors we should consider?
The biggest is this is a taxable transaction. So as you're working with us, you're going to want to work with your accountant, your tax advisor to look at this. What generally you want to do is figure out where your tax bracket is today and where you think it might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, as well as what tax brackets your heirs may be looking at, then figure out the amount to convert.
So how are you able to make a tax-smart conversion decision?
The guess, because you're looking at the future, so nobody's got the perfect crystal ball. But to get as smart as you can, all right, you can do a pretty good guess on our website. We've got a 1040 tax calculator. Look at maybe you're planning on retiring in a few years. Maybe you're planning on having Social Security income coming in, those required distributions. There's a pension starting, married versus single. If you do the hypothetical, here's what can happen. What usually works when you figure all this out is doing a little bit of a Roth conversion to the top of your current tax bracket. It's not always the case. Talk to your tax advisor, but usually doing a modest Roth conversion over several years to the top of your current tax bracket ends up being the smart move.
So you can have two at the same time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can have traditional IRA, Roth IRA, and the biggest mistake that I'll often see people making is they'll think it's an all or none. Oh, I got to convert all of my money.
Exactly.
No, it's just a little bit. And something else that will come up with a lot of the calculators is they'll see that if I make the conversion, it's a wash. I'm not really helping or hurting. Okay, let me point out you're not really hurting. What the calculators often fail to capture is if you've got that additional Social Security coming in, if you change tax status from married to single, what your children's tax rates would be. So there's a lot of other factors that chime in there that the calculators often don't grab.
When's the best time to make that conversion to a Roth?
Making a tactical conversion if you've got a low income year or a low asset value. So right now, 2022 was a rough year in the markets. And while the Dow was down just a little bit, the NASDAQ was down a lot. So if you've got some technology stocks that you believe are going to come back, well, it may be a very good time to make that conversion right now or real soon before those technology stocks come back and rebound.
Now let's talk about Roth IRAs and the benefits of having this.
One of the things that I love about having the Roth IRA is once you've had it open for 5 years, you can access your contributions for anything. You don't need to be 59 and a half. You don't need to be 29 and a half.
Wow.
You don't need to be 8 and a half, okay? if you've had the Roth IRA for 5 years, this feature makes it a phenomenal savings account. So instead of building up the normal cash reserve, I am very okay with folks putting money into the Roth IRA first, because if they need it and they keep up with that basis, it's tax-free. It's also something where distributions from the Roth IRA do not impact your Medicare premiums. A lot of folks get surprised when they're taking distributions from their IRA and they figured out the income tax and did not realize their Medicare premiums went up because of the IRA distribution. Roth IRAs don't have that problem.
I think I like Roth. Will, where can people go to get more information about Roth conversions?
Visit our website. We've got a calculator on there in the calculators tab, www.wrogers.info, or give us a holler, 706-312-2000. Again, we're always happy to share our wisdom on wealth with anybody.
Check your IRAs, folks. It might be time for a change. Will Rogers, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.